Welcome to HMS, let the power flow. Feel the rhythm in your veins. Every rapid nitro flame.
All right, so in our next video, we're looking at our recovery strategies. So what is the purpose of recovery strategies and how do we actually recover, or what are some strategies that we can do to help the body recover both physiologically, okay, and psychologically. So let's talk about recovery generally, okay? Intense exercise puts the body in a catabolic state, okay? A catabolic state means breaking down, okay? If you haven't eaten in a very long time, your body goes into a catabolic state because it's breaking stuff down. And what it's actually doing in the eating example is that if you haven't fed your body in a while, it starts to break down the substrates in your body to feed itself, okay? This is why people who don't eat food lots lose weight, because their body is actually eating their fat tissue to supply energy for the body, but it then also breaks down muscle tissue as well. So a catabolic state is generally not a good thing, okay? There are certain cases where it's good, but for this reason, we're gonna say it's not a good thing, all right? Now, recovery strategies, therefore, aim to restore homeostasis, which we've talked about before, which is just normal function of the human body, and shift from the catabolic state into our anabolic state. So anabolism is the opposite to catabolism, which is the building phase, okay? And that is required to repair, rebuild, and improve the body from what it was pre-training, okay? This is why, like, drugs are classed as, or certain types of drugs are classed as anabolic steroids, okay? You inject yourself with an anabolic steroid, AAS, and your body becomes anabolic and you build tissue. And a lot of the time, if you're taking a steroid, you will build more tissue than homeostasis is used to. Hence why, anyway, you get the point. So there are three phases to recovery strategies, all right? We've got metabolic recovery, neuromuscular recovery, and structural recovery. So when we talk about metabolic recovery, okay, what's really happening there is that we're restoring our fuel stores, okay? So you're a marathon runner, you finished your race, you've got to replenish your glycogen, okay? We're going to clear our metabolic byproducts. So remember, when we're resynthesizing ATP, we get things like hydrogen ions and, carbon ions or carbon molecules and stuff all accumulating in our body. So we need to get rid of them. And then we're also going to rebalance our electrolytes and hydration. So a second one, neuromuscular, we're looking at now resetting other chemical imbalances which may remain in the body. And then we're going to remove fatigue from our central nervous system and our peripheral nervous system. So if you remember our nervous systems from the prelim stuff, your CNS is basically your brainstem and your spinal column, and the peripheral nervous system are the nerves that then go off that to your arms and your legs to coordinate everything else. And then finally, we've got our structural recovery, which is the repairing of the micro damage that accumulates from doing intense exercise. So damage to muscles, tendons, ligaments, bone, etc. Okay, so all of these three things must be done to say that you are recovered. So now I'm going to break into our physiological strategies, so specific strategies which work on the physical body. Okay, I know it's a lot of writing, but I got all the physiological strategies on one screen, so I'm super happy about that. Might actually have a video under 20 minutes for once. Physiological strategies, okay, so these strategies are looking purely at the body and the nervous system, etc. Okay, so all the physical things that you could actually touch in your body, or if you cut your body open and then grab some things. Not that you should do that, but anyway, if you do biology or any sort of health subjects at university, you get to do that. I got to do that in the labs. It was really weird. It smells really bad. There's a warning for you all in case you go and do that. Anyway, cool down, okay? So our cool down is going to promote lots of recovery in the body. It's mainly going to be focused around the structural recovery, but it does touch on the other types of recovery too. So what is a cool down? It is gentle continued movement, which will prevent blood pooling. Okay, so imagine you've done like an intense leg session or something, or you've just done like lots of sprints, something like that. We're going to keep afterwards, we're going to cool down. We don't just sit down, we cool down, okay? We go for a light jog or a walk or something to prevent the blood pooling in the quads and therefore help flush out our byproducts from our muscles, okay? So we're moving, so remember, ATP resynthesis, okay, and your energy systems is going to create byproducts, you know, like I said before, hydrogen ions, etc. We want to get them out, all right, and get them, you know, just outside of the body, all right? And because the sooner we get rid of that stuff, we can replace it with good stuff, and therefore we go from a catabolic to an anabolic state. Static stretching will then also help this. So usually you would do like your gentle movement for 5-10 minutes, and then you'd move into a static stretching routine. So that's going to relax and realign muscle fibers, okay? Because muscle fibers, remember, they're in spindles. They can sort of get twisted and a little bit out of shape. And if it's, you know, if you think about a hose and you kink the hose, you're not going to be able to get good nutrient flow through that hose, which is your muscle fibers, as opposed to it being nice and straight. And that's going to help reduce DOMS, okay? I'm pretty sure I've touched on DOMS before, but if not, DOMS stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. That's sort of like if you've ever done intense exercise, you wake up, well, sometimes you wake up the next day and you're sore in those muscles, but usually it kicks in at about 24 hours post, it sort of peaks. And DOMS can be a big reason why people don't continue training, okay? As in, like, they go to the gym, they feel really great afterwards, okay, and then it's like a bit stiff and sore that night, and then they wake up the next morning and they can't walk, and they're like, I'm never going back to the gym again. Or maybe they have 2 or 3 days off the gym because their DOMS is so bad, all right? We don't want that, okay? We can do things to reduce that. And obviously, to maximize this, we're going to pair it with our nutrient things that we've spoken about before. Pairing with fluid, so 1.5 litre per kilogram, we're going to have 25 grams of protein and, you know, 70 to 100 grams of simple carbohydrates. Try it within 60 minutes post-exercise, depending on what your pre-exercise meal was, etc., to optimize structural recovery and promote anabolism, okay? Yeah. The other one that we're looking at is hydrotherapy, okay? So hydrotherapy is using water. So this is going to promote our neuromuscular recovery, okay? So maybe your nervous system is connected into all of the skeletal muscle in your body, and it's that pathway which sends the signals to contract and move and etc. And that can get tired too. So we need to recover that. So we need to recover not only the muscle, but the signals to the muscles as well. So we've got 2 different types, and then we combine them for the third. So we've got warm water immersion, which used to be hot water immersion, but then people were actually getting into hot water and causing issues. Anyway, warm water immersion increases vasodilation. So if you imagine all of your blood vessels in your body, when you are warm, they open up. That's called vasodilation. Also, if you want to like experience it yourself, you can go and stand in front of the mirror, close your eyes, and then open them really quickly. And you'll see your pupils, hopefully, providing you're not taking any drugs, will go from a constricted state to a dilated state because of the light, right? And then they'll go back to normal again. It's pretty cool to watch. And then, as a side note, when you've taken drugs, they don't change. They just open all the time. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so warm water is going to open up your blood vessels, which is going to help deliver nutrients faster to all your skeletal muscles and also help clear waste products faster from the muscles, okay? So, give and take. The jets, so if you imagine you're in like a spa bath, okay? The jets, as they push onto your muscles, well, they're reducing muscular tension too. It's like a double whammy. However, not for injured athletes, because heat, okay, was just like any other injury, heat, because it causes vasodilation, can increase inflammation in injured athletes, because when you are injured, your body detects that signal and it starts sending materials to that area to help repair it. And if you open up the highway more, it's going to send way more materials than it needs, okay? That's why you put cold on soft tissue injuries and not heat, right? So then that's our warm water. Our opposite is our cold water immersion. So you're going to do this for about 3 to 12 minutes, but the water is very cold, okay? So you're looking at like sub 10 degree water, which you obviously would need to put ice in. Anyway, so cold water immersion for 3 to 12 minutes causes vasoconstriction, the opposite of vasodilation. Specifically after intense aerobic activity. You can do it after anaerobic activity. However, once again, there's a little caveat here, not after pure strength or pure hypertrophy training, because the vasoconstriction reduces the amount of materials that therefore go to your skeletal muscle. And if you're actually trying to build muscle, it's not as effective, okay? The best way to go about both of these is this. Contrast water therapy, okay? So contrast water therapy is alternating between 1 minute in hot water immersion and then 3 minutes of cold water immersion, and you just keep going back and forth for 20 to 30 minutes, all right? So that's going to basically send materials to the body and then clear out byproducts with the vasoconstriction, and send more materials and then clear out byproducts and send more materials, and you can see how this keeps going, all right? And that is going to maximize your relaxation and reduce neuromuscular tension in the body and enhance your physiological recovery. Okay, so our last ones we need to look at are our psychological strategies. So remember how I said the physiological strategies act on all the things you can sort of grab in the body. You can't grab this, okay? It's in the mind, but it's just as important. So psychological strategies aim to reduce emotional burden, so feelings, reduce your anxiety, your racing thoughts after competition. Oh, maybe I should have done this, I should have done that, or oh, what would have happened? And if you've ever been in a high pressure situation, these things are normal, okay? But those things impact on the ability to sleep. You ever had like a moment in your day, like either it was from pressure or from anxiety or something, and then you go to bed that night and you try and sleep and you're just replaying it over and over and over in your head, and then you get bad sleep. And if you get a bad sleep, you get bad recovery, because we know sleep is like the cornerstone of when most of the recovery in the body happens, okay? Growth hormone, etc. So we need to promote good quality sleep, QQRT protocol that we've gone through before. So therefore, our psychological strategies work to enhance this part of the recovery process. So the main one that we look at is an umbrella term called relaxation. Everybody should do some relaxation, okay? But there are different ways to do relaxation, and there are more ways than what I've included here. But let's go through this. So breathing exercises and meditation. So I've talked about breathing exercises, where you take a big breath in and then you try and do an exhale slower than the breath in was. Okay, instantly lowers cortisol, all right? What's happening is it's increasing our parasympathetic nervous system activity. So remember, that's the one that helps relax, okay? Reducing muscular tension, reduces cortisol in the body, reduces your heart rate, reduces your blood pressure, okay? These are all good things for recovery. Yoga is an interesting example because it combines our breathing exercises and sort of, to a degree, a little bit of meditation, but also our static stretching from our physiological strategies. So you get sort of a double whammy for physical and mental recovery. Massage is great. It removes metabolic waste, so acts on the body to reduce metabolic waste, and it provides a significant psychological relaxation. Even if you're like me and you go for a massage, I haven't been for a massage in about 6 years, but anyway, when I used to go for massages, when I had time to go for massages, I should say, they hurt a lot, okay? And in the massage itself, I actually find it a little bit stressful because it hurts. But I still walk out of that massage feeling relaxed and recovered, even though I was just in pain for 90 minutes. So there is definitely something to be said for massage. And the last one is disconnection. So doing things like socializing, doing your favorite hobbies, okay? Going and playing, sports that aren't your pressure sports, like, if you're like a high intensity, high level triathlete, you go and do some bowls or some darts with your friends, or touch footy on Wednesday night in the social club. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? It's something you enjoy. Or even just listening to music, just going to your room and just chilling out and putting on your favorite album, whatever, okay? All of that stuff is going to reduce anxiety and arousal related to the high pressure competition that athletes find themselves in, and therefore reducing anxiety and all the other effects that we've talked about here is going to therefore improve sleep, which overall enhances your recovery so that you can train again sooner and you get more out of your training and exercise. So that's the end of our video on recovery strategies. Thanks.